2, 1. Karen Holton, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. I decided to ask you to come on to be a guest on my show after listening to your interview with Alfred Weber. A very fascinating interview it was indeed. Definitely worthy of having you as a guest on my show. I figured after that, before I give you the chance to tell your life story from a primary source perspective regarding who you are, what you do, and what you experience that causes you to do the stuff that you do, I'll give you the chance to do that before we get into using your site and your bio as a guide. I will throughout the course of this hour-long interview that we'll be doing. We'll have you on for an hour. But I just want to point out, I'm going to say this to my listeners. I want to point out to all my listeners from now on, please, whenever I upload my shows to YouTube and cost.tv, in the YouTube description, I'm going to first thing put a link. As soon as they get uploaded to cost.tv, I'm going to put a link to where you can access the interview on cost.tv, and I really would appreciate my listeners only listen to the YouTube video for 15 seconds for the sake of giving me a view credit, and then after those 15 seconds are up, click on the links in the video description to cost.tv to listen to all my interviews on that website. It is a blockchain channel. That is the only way that I can monetize now that YouTube doesn't let me monetize the show anymore, and I still can't find it in my heart to ask my guests to pay money to access my show. I don't want to do that quite yet. I'm not there yet, so better to just use the blockchain channel. So listeners, please do that. All cost.tv videos can only be an hour maximum though, so I will have to chop the videos in half whenever I upload them. So I'm just going to get that out at the beginning of all my shows from now on. But with that being said, Karen Holton, you've got the floor to tell us your life story from a primary source perspective regarding what you experienced, what you do, and the stuff that you've researched that causes you to do the stuff that you do. I will put myself on mute and shut up, and I promise not to interrupt you like Alex Jones does. I don't have Alex Jones-itis. You've got the floor.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and I want to start by thanking you for having me on your program. It means a lot to me, and it also means a lot to me that I get taken seriously. Now, I want everyone to know that I am at no point trying to convince anybody to believe me. That is not the purpose for me doing shows, going on shows. The reason why I want to share my information and my experience and my life with other people is because there are so many other people like me who don't know, or they might know, or they might not know, that a lot of what I went through in my life was, especially the paranormal stuff, is very natural to all of us. And it's nothing to be afraid of. And how we can actually take our darkest moments that we've had while living this life and turn it into something good. And so that's my prime directive, is to just tell people my story, what I do, why I do it, and little lights go on or they don't. And for those where the lights do go on, you wouldn't believe how many emails and messages I get from people saying, oh, thank God I heard you on this show or that show, and now I feel more grounded and I feel better about my position in life. And so I just think, what better work could I possibly do? So let's go back in time. The first thing I want to say is I'm not going to talk a lot about the trauma I experienced in my life, but I do want to say I have had a lot of trauma. And you know, over the years, I went for counseling and stuff, and even the counselors had a hard time with why all this stuff happened to me. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I realized it was to give me some skills, some talents, some ways of being, ways of knowing that would serve me later on when the situation on Earth got rough. And if you ask me, the situation on Earth right now is rough. It's rough for everybody. There's just so much going on that I think a positive voice, a positive vision, somebody who has faced adversity and overcome it can share information, not to mention the fact that I also have information that will come out of my mouth that I don't even know is going to come out of my mouth, because I also channel and I have guides that direct me and give me the information as I need it and as I need to share it. So getting back to me, in some ways I had a pretty normal life, and in some ways I had an absolutely very different kind of life. So I was born into a family that was not well suited to me, and I'm sure a lot of us have. And it required me to reach out to the spiritual realms. Because I wasn't finding a lot of people who supported my experiences, my feelings, my thoughts. And I tried a lot of different avenues. I tried religions, all kinds of religions. I went through quite a few religions because I was always searching for truth. And also I was searching for information that could explain why I was going through the different experiences I was going through and why other people didn't have those experiences. Unfortunately, pretty much got told the same thing, that, that I shouldn't be exercising my mind in those directions. I shouldn't be trying to facilitate paranormal experiences, that it was all very bad. It was from the devil. It was demons. And it's funny, even after I appear on someone's show, there will always be some comments where some people will go, demons, demons. But I have come to know that this just isn't true. That is a fear-based way of thinking. We live in a world where there's a lot of competition for us, for our resources, for our energy. I believe the political institutions are an example. I think the financial institutions are an example, the religious institutions, hell, even the medical institution is all out to make money and to have us support their structure so that they can go on doing what they want to do without really being there for us. And so I did not find the answers that I needed in religion. And but I kept going because I kept, well, for one thing, to be totally honest with you, I was kind of shocked that I was even having these experiences, because I don't consider myself in any way extraordinary. I'm a very ordinary person. I'm not perfect. I have all kinds of flaws. Why would I, have these amazing experiences communicating with other beings? I didn't quite get that we're all chosen to do different kinds of work while we're here on Earth. I personally believe I had pre-birth agreements, and that I came into this world to do other things besides consume and sleep and work and die. I truly felt there was so much more to life for all of us. And as far as the trauma goes, the different traumatic things that happened to me it really set me reeling. I'll tell you, it was a big job to find my way back. But I've done it. And it's taken me years. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, you can just flip a switch in your mind and you can overcome stuff. No, not at all. I've worked very much, been very focused. I have a very simple life that allows me time for self-reflection and time for meditation and time to be able to get my head on straight, because until my head was on straight, how am I supposed to help other people? So that's a little bit of my background. I left religion about, I would say, early to mid 1990s, and I'll never go back. And this may sound kind of arrogant, but for a lot of people who are waking up to the greater reality, going to church is like asking Superman to take the bus. I mean, we're so far beyond what a lot of the religious leaders, where they're at, they have a hard time supporting us or even recognizing that what we're going through is valid, and often we get stigmatized, and often we even sometimes get kicked out. So that being said, I left religion, and I really, really focused on the different things that have happened to me. And I have these guides, and I access them internally, and I always have had them, but I suppressed it very much at a huge cost to my health. And an example of how it affected my health is just the sheer magnitude of how much I was suppressing. I ended up becoming a very large woman. I spent almost all of my adult life weighing 320 pounds. I had so many health issues. This is apart from the trauma. So, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, the trauma had to do with the weight or the suppressing stuff, like who knows? But when after I had my spiritual awakening, I lost almost 200 pounds and have not had a weight issue since. So I think there's a very deep connection between our physiology, our biology, and our psychology, and even our spirituality. So when I came to terms and realized that these experiences I was having were real, I had a huge, huge crisis, because I didn't want to be like this. I wanted to be normal. That's why I went to all the churches. I kept trying to fit in and trying to find my normal, and trying to be normal, And I blamed myself for a lot of my traumatic experiences, because I thought if I was smarter, or if I, had recognized the danger or things like that, I would have been able to protect myself. But the truth of the matter is, my life was the way it needed to be so that I could become who I am today. And I'm pretty happy with who I am today. Anyway, getting back a bit, I had this huge crisis. Let me know, Andrew, if you have any questions. I'd be happy to stop. But I had this huge crisis, and a couple of other things happened all at the same time. My former husband had, since I had left religion, he felt that I wasn't a very good parent. I was raising my kids as a single mom, and he was now remarried, and he and his wife wanted sort of their turn to raise the kids. And I thought, how can a child get too much love? They can't. So finally, their father's a little late, but now he wants to participate in their lives. So I let the children go and live with him, unbeknownst to me that he then kept me from my children for 6 months. So that was extremely painful. I ended up moving into this little place, and I was having these constant visions and imaginings of wanting to off myself. Now, this is why I think it happened to me, because I don't usually have those kind of experiences. I think that when we're in deep states of grief, when we're in deep states of sadness, and when we're in deep states of depression, our frequency is lower. And I think that when our frequencies are lower, if we're sensitive to other people's experiences, energies, things like that, that we connect more easily. Whereas now I keep my frequency very high, and I have very few negative experiences. But getting back to then, I was very sad. I had a lot of grief, and I was going to off myself. Now I just want to pause here and move forward in time a couple of years. I met a woman who was close friends with another woman, and her son had lived in the unit that I lived in before me. And he killed himself exactly the way I was imprinted with the urge to off myself. And it was not a common way of offing yourself. Let's just put it that way. So it was 2 years later I found out that this had indeed happened. But at the time I didn't know that. So I was making my plan to off myself, and I went to bed that night. I was crying and I was very upset. And all of a sudden, whether my eyes were closed or whether my eyes were open, it was a dark room, but I saw all these points of light and a voice that was like 1,000 voices and also like a single voice started to talk to me from these points of light. And I was really surprised. I did not expect this to happen. And I said, why are you here? What's happening? And they said, we've come to talk to you because we want you to know that we all have exit points within our life. If the going gets too painful or too rough, we can take an exit point. And this was one of my exit points. But if I decided to stay, they would give me a helper. They would give me a helper, and this helper would assist me in my journey. And I was really intrigued. At that point, I didn't know it was Gabriel, the archangel of God. I didn't know that. I just knew that it was angelic, very much so felt that it was angelic. And I was very grateful for the experience. So I thought about it and I thought, oh my goodness, who gets offered gifts from angels? I have to think about this. I have to think about what I want. And so I thought about my life and I thought about all the things that would give me the perception of power. And I went, no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. What do I want? And I realized what I wanted was to be able to know things, to be wise. I wanted to be wise because then I could sort out my own life. And I wanted to be wise because then I could be there for other people. And I thought wisdom would be the best course. So I asked for wisdom. And ever since then, I have never been alone without my guides. So that's an example of angelic guides. But I also communicate with beings that I'm not really clear what they are, but I do consider them to be interdimensionals. And then a few years, probably close to 10 years later was when I started getting downloads and experiencing off-world missions. So obviously I was also able to channel and communicate with extraterrestrial beings. But that was the start point. And after that angelic experience, life did not get easy. Hell no. I still had all kinds of challenges, but I also had these incredible opportunities. So I had previously a grade 10 education, and suddenly I had this, like within a year, I had this opportunity for higher education. I started off at college and went on to university, and I spent 5 years in higher education. And boy, I learned everything I could. Now, what's interesting is I have fairly poor reading comprehension. And if any of you have been through higher education, boy, it's pretty intensive on the studying and the learning and the reading and all the textbooks, more than you can even carry. And so my guides said, pre-read before your lessons, usually the day before class. But don't worry about it if you don't know what you're reading. So I went, okay, and I'd read it over and I'd have no clue what I had just read. I don't easily generate the mental images. But also they suggested I sleep with the book under my pillow for the class the next day, and I started doing that. And lo and behold, I went to class and I knew the answers to everything. In fact, all the students didn't like me because I knew the answers to everything. I don't know how I knew the answers to everything. So I ended up at first taking a multidisciplinary program. It's called Women's Studies. But it's not really studying about women. It's understanding history, psychology, sociology, biology, anthropology, and more through the perspective of the non-dominant class. So not the people that write the textbooks that you get in high school, not the people who construct reality, but from the people who don't get a say and don't get to add their share. So for instance, I took history and I studied pre-contact to present Canadian history from the First Nations perspective. And I took psychology and I took well, in psychology, I took all the French stuff. Sociology, I studied the great masters on the left, the right, the center, and the tributaries that flowed from there. And always from the perspectives of the disadvantaged, because it's a completely different story when you get that kind of training. I ended up with a diploma in women's studies. I ended up with a bachelor degree in social work, and surprise, surprise, I had a straight A average. Now, okay, I'm lying a little bit because I did get 1B, and it was in statistics, and thank God I learned about statistics, because boy, that's a way that our so-called experts lie to us all the time. So once I took statistics, I could see the flaws in statistics, which was great. But I got a B in statistics, but everything else, I had mostly A's, A pluses, and if you visit my website and you take a look at my credentials, I have a letter from the president of the university congratulating me on being in the top 3% or something, a pretty small percentage of achievers. And they gave me all kinds of scholarship money, which was great because I'm a single mom with 2 kids and, you know, it's been tough. So anyway, I got an education and that helped a lot. Now, an education is actually knowledge. It's not actually wisdom. But because of my history, what I had been through in my life and the perspective that I had, so you take my experience and you add to that the knowledge, then I was able to synthesize what I was learning into wisdom. And now I don't want you thinking I'm the smartest kid on the block. Trust me, I'm not. There are things that I have no idea how I know, but I know. And so I would always go onto the internet and research and see if what I was told was true or not. And so that was really interesting. And I had all kinds of health issues, but in everything that I went through, I was able to see things from a very clear perspective, that I was meant to see things from that perspective. And then instead of giving up and believing what I was told about myself from other people, especially experts, what I did was I went in and I sorted out my own self. And I had my guides to help me. So I would say, you know, I'm almost, I was over 50 when this was all going, or I was about 50 years old when all this was going on, okay? And I was thinking about, you know, my life, and I wanted things. I wanted better relationships with my siblings. I wanted a better relationships with my kids. I wanted all kinds of things that really should be our birthright, but for some reason I didn't have them going on for myself. So I had to take a look at my life. I had to take a look at my issues. And let's just, for a visual, imagine a big ball that's made up of shorter pieces of different colored yarn, and it's all tangled. And if you decide you want to untangle the ball of yarn, well, it starts with one little thread and you follow it through and you find out where it's looped and where it's knotted. And this is basically how I went through my life. Okay, I'm going to skip forward because you probably want to hear about the other stuff. So I'll skip forward a little bit. But I just want to say that I'm a firm believer that our weaknesses are our strengths. And no matter how bad we've had it in our lives, we can turn it around and we can be free people. We can regain our sovereignty, and we're not alone. There is so much unseen help if we just take a chance and reach out, how amazingly different our lives can become. So now, a few years after all of that, and believe me, I'm still sorting out some of those threads. It's not like it's all done. It's never done because there's other layers to the onion, right? But so then I started to wake up in the morning and have these amazing dreams, but they weren't dreams, they were memories. And the reason I knew that was because dreams for me are disjointed. They're surreal. there's no clear storyline. There's just images, perceptions, imaginings, and it's kind of just a big tossed salad for me when I dream. This was very different. I was remembering from each night that, and by the way, this would happen while I was sleeping. So I'd wake up in the morning with the memories. So I'd go to sleep at night, and in the morning I'd wake up and I was gone, not for one night, although, yes, I was only physically there in my sleep for one night. I was actually gone for weeks. And this happened for about 3 months of Earth time. And yet my adventures, I was gone for more like 3 years. But there's a time differential because, first of all, places I go, there is no time and space. Second of all, where I go is generally to this enormous, enormous ship in, I don't know, not near here, really another quadrant of the galaxy. And I was able to participate in all kinds of amazing, amazing things. So I at first thought I was the only one having these experiences, and then it took actually years before, only just in the last 2 years, I started finding out there's a lot of other people having these experiences too. So it seems that we are capable of bilocation or consciousness transfer. And I guess after doing the work for, well, I did that 3-month stint, and I was involved in an intergalactic resettlement program. So the beings on the big ships, first thing people want to know is, are they Arcturians? Are they Anunnaki? Are they reptilians? And I'm going to say no. I don't know anything about the groups I just mentioned. I don't really know a lot about exopolitics within our solar system or within our star cluster system. I only know what I've experienced. And what I've experienced has been, I believe, much farther away than that. So what kind of things did we do on the ship? Well, first of all, what we did was we did exercises where we would go down to planets that didn't have humanoids, and we would do assessments. So the only tool I remember using was like, it looks like a piece of glass, or a piece of plexiglass maybe with slightly rounded corners. And it's about the size, I would say a bit bigger than an iPhone or say a Galaxy Android, but not quite as big as a tablet. So kind of in between. And in it, it's programmed with specific data that we're supposed to input from our surroundings. So that was really interesting. We were quarantined. We were not to interact with any of the animals. We were only supposed to stay within our little area that we would go down to, and we would do assessments. And the whole thing was that we were gathering data. Now, the beings that are on the ship, boy, I go down rabbit holes, so please feel free to stop me and steer me in any direction where you want me to fill in, because it's such a big story.
Since I hear myself echo there, and hopefully the echo will go away. But okay. Anyhow, still going, the echo. Do you hear the echo?
No, I don't.
I don't know why it's here on my end. Oh, it stopped apparently, but okay. So as far as what's going on with the world today and how humanity is supposed to respond to it, I mean, look at what's going on now. We just had Labor Day, the schools are opening, and football season's coming, but nobody's going to be able to go into the stadiums to watch the games, and nobody's been able to watch the NBA and NHL playoffs in the stands either. It's like nobody's able to get with each other because of the whole social distancing thing. And here in my neck of the woods in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf, he's he seems like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I've never really liked the guy because he's been anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment. Any politician that does that is not a worthy politician, no matter what else they support. But he's taken it over the edge, and so have a lot of other politicians. And you can't help but wonder, how exactly is humanity supposed to deal with this? I've been hearing from some sources that this is the storm before the calm, that when this all is said and done, we are going to, among other things, have some sort of a global currency reset where there will be gold-backed currency, no more bankers loaning us money that doesn't exist and charging us interest on it. How smooth the transition that'll be, I don't know. I mean, what role are the ETs playing in that is something I also want to know. And to what extent are we allowed to get the technologies as well that will allow us to be able to not have to continue to work 9-to-5 jobs? I mean, it's easy to say, get the technology out so we don't have to work. People may become couch potatoes and apathetic and not do anything because they think that, oh, well, everything's going to be provided for me, so I don't have to work anymore. So that's the problem with kind of releasing all the technology out there that would allow us to get rid of oil and coal and all the rest of it. So how do you see this working out in the present day going into the future? And maybe I'll give dates a little later on after I give you a chance to give your take on it.
Okay. Well, I have a bit of a fringe take on it. Surprise, surprise. Because I have been around beings who are a lot like us, who have never been under the yoke of oppression the way humans have, they function very differently. And through seeing the differences more than similarities, I've been able to form an analysis that we have been tricked, fooled, and exploited for thousands of years. It's so ingrained in us, we don't even realize. Like, for instance, one statement that you made, which a lot of people would adhere to, is, oh, if we didn't have work, we'd be lazy and we'd be lying around, we'd be doing nothing. Well, no, that's what we're told would happen. But if we didn't have to work, what would we be doing? Okay, we would be, first of all, hopefully improving ourselves. So this time right now, we're all under a lot of stress, but there has been no better time for us to be pushed to our limit, to start addressing our issues, finding out what we're made out of, seeing what we want to be, who do we want to be, how do we want to be, all those kind of things. It's a perfect opportunity for self-reflection. And self-reflection often doesn't happen easily for us humans unless we're pushed into some very uncomfortable circumstances. So nothing that we can imagine as far as society goes is natural. Nothing in our society is even truly beneficial. Now, if we had access to groups of people who had not been colonized and not been touched by, for lack of a better term, the white colonialists, we would see all different ways of structuring society where they're healthy, they're happy, they have meaningful work. And so really, we could be slipping into a resource-based economy rather than a money-based economy. But the powers that be, and this is my personal opinion, nobody has to buy it, but in my personal opinion, everything that is set up by external experts, even though we know they're not experts, is deleterious, is harmful, is not going to free us or make us happy. In fact, quite the opposite. Now, my take, being a Canadian, on the American situation is it's my understanding that Americans have a right to bear arms and specifically that they should rise up when they see the government's going in a direction that's not in harmony with your amendments, with your constitution, with those things that have been put in place to protect you should situations like today arise. So what I'm seeing is happening is a heavy, heavy hand smashing everybody down on a three-dimensional or a societal level. They are not going to do anything good for any of us. It's only got to be good for the 1% or perhaps even less than that. And so my take on it is, yeah, we're suffering in ways we never dreamed possible. Our suffering is leading us to self-reflection, to self-refinement, to becoming better human beings. But my solution to the present timeline, which I see very little good coming of it, even if you did get rid of money and get rid of the banks and you went into a cryptocurrency and things like that, the point is there are forces on this planet that have been controlling us, and they're not going to just give up that control. And we know that there are a few people that are making or executing a plan that's been in the works for a very long time. And I'll just give you an example. World War II came, and the women stepped into the workforce because the men went away and became soldiers. So a lot of the good men got killed, and a lot of the ones that came back were pretty traumatized. And without the appropriate supports, society started to break down. But somebody decided somewhere along the line, and probably along with the economic system and the commercial system, that they would plant people a specific way after World War II. So what happened was suburbs came up everywhere. People were moved to the suburbs. Women were taught, oh, you got to wear your curlers in your hair all day. You have to have high heels and be wearing a dress, and you have to keep your house really clean all the time. And your children, they're not allowed to swear, and they have to do this and that. And everyone has to have their hair cut really short unless you're a woman. And everyone has to go to the beauty parlor, and everybody has to do all these things. And the guy's got to work 9 to 5 jobs. That is a constructed reality that was given to people who needed to put their lives back together after the war. And so that construct has never been about what's best for us. It's been a way of organizing populations for consumerism. So for instance, all these ladies living in all these suburbs, they all need to have their own toaster, they all have to have their own coffee percolator, they have to have their own washer and dryer and all these things. It was all about mass consumerism. So during the war, they were making their money off of bombs and bullets and stuff. Well, now the greediness, after 2 world wars, they wanted to basically have us work as slaves and spend all our money on so-called necessities of life. Now, I'm not saying those things didn't make life easier, but there was a whole mindset that was incredibly screwed up that went with that. Alcohol was shown through the media of the time as being something that was really normal. So people had drinks with lunch, and they had drinks after work, and they had drinks with dinner, and they had drinks after dinner. Well, what happened? We ended up with a bumper crop of babies being born that had fetal alcohol effect and had different health and mental problems. Not to mention the society fabric was very, very weak. And so families had to put their absolute best constructed foot forward while they were in public. Otherwise, they would be ostracized, stigmatized, shunned. They wouldn't be able to function socially because those are the rules of the construct. And what happened is everybody would be out being nice, oh, nice, and having all these manners and everything, but they would go home and then there would be alcoholism, a tremendous amount of alcoholism, tremendous amount of family abuse, and not just abuse of women, also abuse of men. I got to tell you, there's a lot of women that are physically and emotionally abuse men. It's not that men abuse women. It was abuse all over the place. And then that was filtered down to the children. So the children were born into this artificial construct that was extremely stressful. And then on top of that, mom and dad didn't treat their kids very well because they were so stressed out and they had all kinds of addiction issues and all these other things. That's the part of society nobody talks about. And so it slowly kind of degraded from there. But the new world order is absolutely real. It's absolutely happening. And I don't know, I think the only way really, the only effective strategy really is for us to work on ourselves, work on our own issues, work on our addictions, become healthier, happier people. And then we will realize this is not good for us, that's not good for us, and we're not going to deliberately do harm to ourselves. That would be ridiculous. And so through finding our own sovereignty, improving our own health, being there for each other in a more meaningful way, that's how we change reality. So for myself, I had to disengage from mainstream media because I didn't want my brain being polluted and programmed. And so that's a choice that I made. Now, I'm not saying that the alternative media is super reliable either. Hell, we're at the point now where it's hard to know what to believe and what's real, you know, because things are very, very confusing and kind of scary for everybody. But I truly believe we can change timelines. Because of my paranormal experiences, the things I've seen that are done on other worlds by other people, I know we can do that here too. And we literally have to create a new positive timeline. We have to spend time thinking about what we want. What does that look like? What does that smell like? What does that taste like? And develop that within our own minds and our own framework. And then start putting our energy into those things and just withdraw our energy from the construct, because they will have something new every week to get you upset. There will be a new disaster. There will be a new bomb. There will be a new this. There will be a new that. Next thing you know, they're going to be saying that we're under attack by space aliens. God only knows. They will say anything they need to say, and they own the media, and that's going to be put out there for everybody so that people can go back into the programming of disease, war, poverty, and crime, because those are big money-making things for this system. So if we refuse to put our energy and our thoughts into those things, and instead we choose to put our energy into something that is positive and something that, like, for instance, that I can live with, then I'm a happier person. And whatever's going on in the outside world, I truly believe it can't happen unless we're complying. It can't happen unless we agree to participate in it. And so on that note, I would say if everybody really gets in touch with their own personal values, regardless of what everybody else is saying, what are your personal values? How do you want to express that in this world? And I also don't believe this is our only kick at the can. I believe, and I've been told by my guides, that I've lived many lifetimes. In fact, one time I was thinking about death, and one of my guides said to me, Karen, if you knew how many times you'd lived and died, you'd laugh at the idea. You got this. This is easy. When your time comes, that's going to be a piece of cake. So the point is it's not like we have to fix everything now, right here, right now. It's not like we have to fix everything in one lifetime. If we don't get the work done, we'll come back and we'll do it again. And I'm guessing we choose to come back. I'm guessing we choose to come back for soul evolution and to help make things different on this planet for everybody. And so I don't really know what to say, except that I choose not to participate. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't know what's going on in the world, but I choose to put my energy and my focus into good things, things that make me feel healthy, happy, peaceful, and things that share that with other people. And that's the best that I can do. And whatever's going on, you got to admit, there's so much bad going on in the world right now. You could sit and laugh. Not that it's not funny. It's just unbelievable. It's a freak show. It's a 3-ring circus without the tent. So we got to make some personal decisions on what we're going to do about that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, America's gone to hell with all the rioting in the cities, and we're playing for a sap because George Soros, word on the street, if Ben Fulford is right, has been dead for a while. So, although someone else who was channeling entities said that they looked at George Soros and were able to look at his chakra system and channel him, and I was like, whoa, how are you channeling a dead person? So, well, that's kind of beside the point. The issue, though, there are New World Order forces that are still coming down on us, and I don't think they're going to go down easy. No question, they're going to fight to the bitter end. We have to fight to the bitter end too, and, well, we would love to have consciousness and ascension happen sooner rather than later. But there are barriers in the way, and when it comes to the politicians, I've said this many times on the show, and I guess I might as well say it again, how Henry Kissinger, when he met Donald Trump back in 2017, for all intents and purposes, that meeting was so Kissinger told Trump, "You will do what my minions and I tell you to do, or else you and your family will be dead." And Trump is allegedly in bed, or his son-in-law is in bed with Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Zionist factions of Israel are the ones who have a great say in holding the affairs going on in the world and are holding Trump's leash. So that would be his weakest link, and anything that Donald Trump wants to do to be a good president, to be the next JFK and kill the bank, as long as Bibi and Kissinger are holding his leash, he's not free to do that. Some people that I've told this to are asserting that they are losing power, but okay, they're losing power. Well, what can we do to make them ultimately lose power so we can ascend sooner rather than later?
Well, that's a good point, Andrew, but I got to tell you, it's already happening. Consciousness is already happening. The transition's already well underway. I see oodles and oodles and oodles of evidence of that. So I just want to say, in my opinion and based on my experience, there is no benevolent politician. What they have to do to get to a certain level in politics, there's no way an honest man or a fair man or woman would be able to do it, because it's all cutthroat. If you watch, say, a series on Netflix about the Roman Empire, nothing has changed. So this is the thing. These agencies require institutions and bureaucracy to carry out what they do. Well, the very nature of institutions and bureaucracies is no change, very slow change. We've been held back thousands of years by these people who want to feel they're like they're closer to God, or that they're more godlike than the rest of us. And so they've decided we're all chattel and we're all expendable. And we're just here for scientific experiments. And I say that based on what I know about the pharmaceutical industry. I've been down all the rabbit holes. I've been down Operation Paperclip and quite a few of them. I'm well aware of what's gone on in not just the mainstream reality, but the alternative realities as well. And I don't think any of them have any creativity. When people become sociopathic or psychopathic, they don't have the ability to have compassion or empathy, but they also don't have the ability for creativity. They don't have the ability to have all kinds of different ways of knowing and being that are beautiful and add peace and harmony to the planet. None of them are going to be there for us. And if you watch what's going on in the world, it's obvious. There's no way, if these people really gave a rat's ass about us, that they would be doing the things that they're doing. Take Jeffrey Epstein, for instance. I know he's dead, and now Ghislaine probably also will probably also be suicided. But look at how big that whole network is. And basically, people don't even know about it. They would never believe it. As soon as they got a little bit of cognitive dissonance, they go, oh my God, I want nothing to do with that because it makes me feel uncomfortable. Well, we got to get uncomfortable. We got to get really uncomfortable so we can open up and see what's going on and make some decisions for ourselves. So as far as I'm concerned, this whole New World Order thing is all part of the Zionist agenda. I don't think anything they tell us is real. I don't think the dentist is going to help you have healthy teeth. I don't think the doctor is going to help you promote or maintain health. Now, there might be some. I'm not saying they're all wicked, and very few of them are consciously wicked. Nonetheless, it's all about consumerism. It's about a disease management system. It's not a healthcare system. And there's no justice system. There's only a legal system. Now, what's a legal system? It's people who get together and whoever can spread the best bullshit in court, presenting a possible reality and intention. Whoever does the best dog and pony show and makes the judge the happiest, oh, they're the ones that are going to win. It has nothing to do with the poor person on trial, whether they are even guilty or not guilty. The prisons are full of innocent people, or people that are pretty close to innocent, like got caught with a joint or maybe even a few seeds from marijuana. Okay, we don't do seeds anymore, but I'm talking back in the day. This has been going on for a long time. And so people have to get to that point of being uncomfortable enough to then start working on themselves. And when they work on themselves, what happens is we become connected to a whole spiritual reality that we didn't know existed. And I'm going to tell you, the church is sure not telling us about it either. And so what happens is when you operate from that place that all you have are the things within the three-dimensional reality that you grew up with, teachers teach, doctors are supposed to look after your health, politicians are supposed to guide the nation. And when you realize it's all bullshit, all lies, and everything has been constructed to wear you out, take all your money, use you as a private resource, and then get rid of you quick. Once we wake up to that, then I think we become very united, because suddenly it's not about black versus white, rich versus poor, religious versus non-religious. It's not about any of that stuff. We're all in this together as a species, and if we want to survive, we have to make peace within. How can we make peace without when we can't make peace within? So I believe it all starts with going inside. I'm a firm believer in that.
Absolutely. And we have many things to help us get to that higher level. I mean, looking at your site here, all these things that people could get, all the crystals and gemstones. I myself have, over this past year, I have made a fancy of my uh, abode, gathering crystals and gemstones and putting silver everywhere because my horoscope says that that's what I should do to generate wealth and abundance, and things seem to be going well. And apparently, everything should go well if the currency reset happens, but that thing is really getting on everybody's nerves. The
Yeah.
currency reset might happen next Tuesday, starting to get everybody's nerves. And, well, we want to be done with money, but Donald Trump, his uncle was one of the people that took Nikola Tesla's technology when they took it from the hotel room. So it makes you wonder, Donald Trump, he's got to be aware of this technology that we could use to become galactic brotherhood and get with our star families and get with the program for Christ's sake. And Alex Collier's been saying for years that we're the only civilization in the Milky Way that he knows of that uses money. And how can you hear him say that and not think, well, humanity needs a kick in the pants and join the program and get with it? Are humans really that lost? You can't blame the Grace and the reptilians for all the trouble. The word on the street, though, is the overlords are gone. So the Alex Hunter did say that the overlords are not able to come in and help anyone on the system of domination and control in the event that someone was trying to blow the whistle. Like they could easily say, we're gonna murder you and your wife and kids if you expose this stuff. That isn't gonna happen as much now because the overlords, the Draco Reptilians and Orion Greys, have left the Earth, and, well, we have to put Humpty Dumpty together again, if that makes sense. So, how do we put Humpty Dumpty back together again if the overlords are gone? And can you, by any chance, confirm that they are gone and we are free as humans to finally get with the program if we choose to do so?
Okay, well, that branch of exopolitics I'm not really familiar with, but I got to tell you, Andrew, I know this is going to shake you up, but just over the next few days, try to let this sink in. You and I, we are the technology. We don't need a machine made out of metal and screws and wires and components. We are technology. That is why we're so suppressed. That is why we're so valuable. We are supercomputers. We can bring into manifestation anything we want. We can do whatever we want, but we've lost the dream, the vision. We've lost the belief in ourselves. And that's why going back to working on the body temple so you can hold the frequency, taking care of yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to eat properly and be with people who make you feel good and listening to the kinds of music you want. These are all God-given technologies that help us to be powerful, powerful technologies. I've seen a timeline of the not too far in the future where everything is powered by us. We just need a little interface and know how to do it. And we can power our cell phones, keep our houses warm. We don't need an external power source. We have it all within ourselves. We are technology. We were altered a long time ago to become technology. We are infinitely valuable, powerful. There's nothing we can't do, but we got to get ourselves sorted out. And
well, I want to
friends,
ask you about that regarding nature and technology. Star Wars made a great quote recently. One of the recent movies in the post sequel, never underestimate the power of a droid. Well, you want to get one
Yeah.
with nature, but at the same time, you don't want to live a life where you don't have computers. You want to have a life where you have computers and technology to do things for you. Of course, technology makes us lazy, some say, but then again, we can use that technology to do so many other things and go to the stars, and we could have a whole new can of worms with the people that we've talked about with UFOs and whatnot. But that's a whole new subject in and of itself. But the idea that this stuff can be exposed and it should be exposed, how in the world are we supposed to handle it if we can't handle the truth? Can we handle the truth or
Yep.
not?
Oh, we can. We totally can. I have great faith in humanity, great faith in humanity. You know, there is a war between, I would say the Zionists. And by the way, Zionists, for those that don't know, has nothing to do with Jewish people or the Jewish faith. This is something completely different. You have to do a bit of research to find out about it. But, they're not going to give up. They're not just going to give up without a fight. But I'm going to tell you something. They lack imagination. They don't realize their technology, and they don't even know how to use their own technology. Otherwise, they wouldn't, if they knew the power they had, they wouldn't be going in for all this Satan worship and all these arcane rituals and things to try to get their power. They would know we already are powerful. We're super powerful. We can go to the stars. We can do anything we want. Internally, we have a copy of the universe inside each one of us. It's almost laughable how well hidden the truth is from everybody. But when we wake up and we realize that we don't want to go to external experts anymore, they're not going to help us. We go inside and we find our own internal experts. And that is the best work that I could ever imagine that I am able to do with people, is to help them go inside and find out how amazingly powerful they are. And I've had it proven to me over and over and over again, so I'm a true believer now. I don't ever doubt it anymore. I know what I am, and I'm just going to try to tell people and wake them up and let them start discovering how amazing they are. But we got to get rid of a lot of the toxins. Oh my God, everything is there. It's just terrible. I mean, everything we're putting on our bodies, from our deodorant to our soaps, is toxic. What we're eating is toxic. We go to the doctor because we don't feel good because we're toxic, and he gives us pills and we become more toxic. And only you can strip off, only I can strip off those toxic layers. And I've produced a program that was given to me by my guides. It's called Quantum Health Transformation. It's absolutely free. It's available on my website. It's available on my YouTube channel. And there are, on my YouTube channel and on my website, it's over 20 videos. And I've put years of my life into doing this because my guides asked me to, and I did. And
Yeah,
it
you can
also
make a sales pitch out of your work. You're more than welcome to do that.
It's free. It's a free program. It's I'm not making any money off of it. I won't even know if you've participated in the program. And I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying check it out, and it'll stimulate your own desire to find your own way. It'll give you a jumping off point. That's what it is. So it's really important that I tell people about that before the show's over, which I guess is soon, eh?
Yes, we've kind of reached the hour limit. Cost.tv only allows for an hour. So, well, I sound like a broken record so much. And, well, then again, Andrew Bartzis, I remember him saying on a recent show, has there been any conspiracies that we can look at since the last decade? And, well, no, it's all preaching to the choir and everything, but it's
Yeah.
great that we have people like you to understand what's really going on and to wake up humanity and people that are lost in a trance. It's really upsetting. I've got my own folks who are of the if I don't see it, I don't believe it kind of thing, and that kind of drives me crazy, but yet they think that everything happens for a reason. So who do they believe? I don't know what they believe, and then again, I don't get it because I'm not them. That's the way consciousness works, and you have been blessed to have connections that will give you information, and it was great information on this show, and I will make sure that I upload it to YouTube and Costa.tv, and I will send you the link when it is done. Thank you, Karen Holton. Namaste. Enjoy your trek without infinite consciousness.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been a pleasure anytime.
Take care.